the man who ran everything. Evan Kessler did not believe in accident. Everything in his world had a purpose: glass, offices to project transparency, private jets to avoid unpredictability, contacts thick enough to crush dissent. He had built a reputation as a man who could see consequences before they existed. And yet, the first lie he told, the one that mattered, was the simplest: no one is watching. He told himself that at the clubs, under low red lights and mirrors, placed a double illusion. He told himself that when he learned the dancer's real name, but never used them, he told himself it most convincingly at the cabin, where the air smelled like pine and nobody knew him. The cabin was where Evan became reckless. The cabin and the camera. The cameras weren't a secret. They'd been instilled years earlier, after Evan read about an executive kidnapped in a similar retreat. Exterior motion sensors, interior wide-angle coverage, audio disabled, video high resolution. ASAS 1T some point. Evan stopped thinking about them. That was the fatal mistake. Not forgetting they exist, but forgetting why he'd installed them in the first place. Powerful men don't forget sightums. They forget limits. Lola, who saw through him. Lola didn't flirt the way other did. She asked questions. Not personal ones, strategic ones. What happens if you disappear? Do people notice when you leave early? Do you ever get tired of pretending? Evan mistook that for intimacy. When he brought her to the cabin, it felt like an upgrade, not just secrecy, but control of the setting. She walked through the space slowly, touching the walls. "You really are careful," she said. Evan smiled. He didn't notice her glance at the camera lens. Jade and the need to be seen. Jade was the opposite problem. Younger, reckless, addicted to validation, always 2 notifications away from chaos. Evan justified her presence differently. She needs help. He'll end it soon. All lies. Jade didn't know about Lola, or the cabin's rules. She assumed she was special. She wasn't. But she was dangerous in a different way. She documented everything, just not where Evan could see. Raina, who understood leverage. Raina never stayed long, never spent the night, never drank, never asked question. She listened. When Evan talked about business, she remembered. When he complained about Marissa, she noted tonum shifts. When he mentioned the cameras once offhandedly, dismissively, she smiled. Rena knew something Evan didn't. Silence is not absence, it's positioning. Marissa, who waited Marissa Kessler, was not naive. She had helped build Evan's empire, quietly introducing donors, smoothing reputational disasters, rewriting narratives in public, without Eve appearing to do so. She knew how men like Evan fell. Not explosively, incrementally. The alert from the cloud backup wasn't dramatic. Just an automated redundancy notification routed to change permissions. Marissa didn't open the files immediately. She prepared first. Wine poured. Lights low. Phone silenced. Then she watched. Not once. Not twice. Over days. Patterns emerged. Different woman. Same rituals. Some casual confidence. And then, the thing that shifted it from betrayal to annihilation. He curated. He archived. He kept evidence. The files that shouldn't exist. The cameras had recorded more than intimacy. They caught Evan on calls. Half-spoken deals. Numbers referenced without context. Names never meant to leave the room. Marissa understood immediately. These weren't memories. They were liabilities. She hired professionals, not for divorce, but for forensic excavation. And what they found was devastating. Insider coordination discussed off-record, expense laundering via shell retreats, NDAs improperly executed, surveillance that violated multiple consent laws. The cabin wasn't a love nest. It was a crime scene with mood lighting. The women called. Lola found out first, not from Evan, but from Jade, who recognized her bracelet in a reflection. The confrontation didn't happen in person. It happened online. Screenshots, clips, timestamps, Rena watched silently as chaos bloomed. Then she made her move. Rena contacted Marissa. Not with threats, with precision. I believe you already know. The fall begins. The board received an anonymous packet. Not explicit footage too crude. Instead, still images, time logs, legal annotations, risk analysis, a morality clause violation, a governance failure, a reputational catastrophe. Evan was placed on temporary leave within hours. By the time he got home, Marissa had changed the locks. Not keep him out, but to Amherst territory. I'm not angry, she told him. That would be inefficient. She slid a folder across the table. Choose carefully, she said, because the cameras already did. The courtroom, the trial was public. That was Marissa's condition. Evan's lawyers wanted settlement, silence, arbitration. Marissa refused. Because this wasn't about money anymore. This was about record, the strategy. Marissa didn't paint Evan as a cheater. She painted him as a man who he weaponized surveillance. He violated privacy statutes, created illegal recordings. He used power imbalance coercively. The women testified. Not together. Not consistently. But truth doesn't need harmony jwat corroboration. Then came the twist Evan never anticipated. The cabin footage. Rena's lawyer introduced it. Not the encounters. A clip of Evan explaining the cameras. I'll control what exists, he said casually. The courtroom went silent. The verdict, Evan lost everything. Divorce, Maris awaited, controlling interest, civil liability, 7-figure settlement to the woman, criminal referral. Unlawful surveillance. Career. Irrevocably over high name became a case study. Not a villain, a warning. Epilogue. True invisibility. Evan lives along now. No assistance, no cameras, no legacy. He still believes he was careful, but now he understands the truth too late. Careful men don't fear being watched. They fear being recorded by the wrong person.